Bolo Young is a Chinese martial artist who starred alongside Bruce Lee in movies such as Enter the Dragon. As an actor, Young was known for his ginormous frame and general physical appearance. As this was an era with less science and available supplements, this made his look even more impressive and unusual. Based on this alone, you'd have to be foolish to pick a fight with Bolo in his physical prime. As we all know, just because someone is muscular, it doesn't mean that they're particularly skilled or technical when it comes to fighting. However, in his heyday, Bolo weighed around 100 kilograms, which was very heavy considering he was just 5 feet 6 inches tall. Bolo's real name was Yang Si, but he was awarded the nickname by his friend Bruce Lee. Over the years, Bolo Young has often been observed training Tai Chi and has often confessed his love for the martial art. As he's gotten older, Young may have lost his muscular frame. Having said this, he's managed to stay supple and fluid, which is very important as you get older. One big factor for this is his self-confessed love of Tai Chi. It's no secret that Tai Chi is great for those who are getting older in life. This is because it's almost like yoga and keeps the body in great physical shape. After a lifetime of heavy bodybuilding and other martial arts, this is the ideal remedy to keep his body in shape. Whilst Bolo may not look as physically impressive as he once did, the movements of Tai Chi will keep his body flexible and strong enough well into old age. Aged 10 years old, Bolo Young was enrolled into learning Kung Fu. He trained under several different teachers, which meant he picked up a variety of different skills. This was back in Guangzhou, as a kid, where Kung Fu would have been the dominant martial art in China at the time. Here, Bolo would have learned how to strike using his legs and arms, whilst also learning blocking techniques. It's not quite known whether he learned weapons, but this is a real possibility, as Kung Fu often incorporates weapons into training. It's also not known just how good Bolo was at Kung Fu, but after training for a number of years in his childhood, it would be fair to say he's very solid at the least. Following on from Kung Fu, Bolo also trained karate at least briefly. In the early 90s, he featured on the front of several karate magazines and could be seen using it in several movies. In the early 80s and 90s, the world was gripped by karate and it was at its peak of popularity. With this said, it's not surprising that someone with a Kung Fu background took a liking towards karate. Overall though, he is mostly known for training Kung Fu and Tai Chi. Based on this, it's fair to say that Bolo was a legitimate martial artist. Unlike some actors, he wasn't just a physical specimen and did genuinely know technique and form. It should be said though, in his younger days, Bolo's main passion was clearly bodybuilding, which he devoted most of his personal time to. Many people ask, did Bruce Lee ever fight Bolo Young? Whilst their paths may have crossed in Kung Fu movies, it's never been documented that Bruce Lee ever fought Bolo Young. This makes a lot of sense considering the two were great friends. At the time, Bolo would have been significantly larger than Bruce Lee, so there's probably little point in the pair fighting. Still, this hasn't stopped speculation or myths, where people sometimes fantasize what would happen if the pair really fought. When observing Bruce Lee on set, Bolo was very complimentary of Lee's skills, which goes with what the majority of people thought at the time when it came to his fighting techniques. Overall, in modern day, the martial arts world is obsessed with belt ranks and hierarchy. This is a course for good at times, but also irrelevant when it comes to raw skill. In other words, Bolo Young was training in an era where belts weren't as commonly used compared with today. He also prioritized the likes of Kung Fu and Tai Chi, which don't really have a formal belt system. As a result of this, we don't really know just how good Bolo Young was as a martial artist. What we do know is that he genuinely trained for many years as a kid and has continued with Tai Chi into old age. What's also worth mentioning is that he was primarily viewed as a bodybuilder as opposed to a martial artist. When combining these two skill sets, it's fair to say that in his prime, Bolo Young would have been a very tough fighter. The reason for this is that he'd have a rare combination of both technical skills combined with brute power and strength. If you've ever sparred someone like this, then you will be well aware that they are a nightmare to deal with. Sadly, time has caught up with Bolo Young, but during his peak, he would have been an extremely dangerous fighter.